Labour are giving the right to vote to 16 and 17-year-olds. This is part of some might say shocking new electoral reforms.
Yeah, this is all in a bid to modernise democracy, apparently, and restore trust in politics among young people.
The government are going to look to extend voter ID to include bank cards and impose tougher rules to prevent foreign interference during elections. We're dropping the news. We want to discuss this, Carol.
Yep.
Labour obviously think this will be good for them. The 16 and 17-year-olds are going to be able to vote. Will it?
Do you know what? No, because a poll came out today and said that half of 16-year-olds don't want to vote. But anyway, that's by the by. And Labour are being really stupid here, because I think that a lot of young people now are onto reform. If you look at Farage, after he was in the jungle, he went on TikTok. He got millions of young followers. Anyway, that's by the by. But this is a desperate attempt by a government that knows it's stuffed, and to try and stay in power, it's going to give votes to immature, inexperienced kids who, frankly, when you're 16, and I'm not being insulting, you've got teenagers, I wouldn't necessarily trust them across the road, never mind put the next government in power. And I just think it's a really bad move. Kids aren't politically developed at 16. You might get the odd one who was very invested in politics at that age, but very few. And Labour are doing this because, historically, young people have always voted for the Labour Party.
Yeah, and those days are gone. I think you're right. You've hit the nail on the head in this fact that actually the younger people that I talk to, and I've got 2 teenagers in my life, they are all much more inclined to lean to the right.
Which I think is even more important, that Labour is doing this and doing it in the name of democracy, frankly. You think back to being 16. Not everybody goes to university. They join the jobs market. They go out there. They earn. They pay taxes. Why shouldn't you be able to vote as well and have a say in your future? So it's about forward-looking decisions, things we vote on today.
Backfire on Labour at the next election?
Well, that's up to Labour to
so many young people love reform.
Well, maybe they do, but and that's an electoral problem that Labour has. But this is a democratic decision we're seeing being made, and it's incredibly important that people can have a say in their future. Dare I bring it up? But look at Brexit. A lot of the people who voted for Brexit have died. They will never see what the impact of that is. A lot of the young people who may not have voted for it are suffering the consequences. They can't go and live and work elsewhere, but they never had that say.
Why not? Why can't they go and live and work elsewhere?
Well, for example...
I know plenty of people have gone to Spain or wherever, Europe, across the world.
And get a visa.
Well, yeah, you can get a visa, but it's a tricky process. You can't just turn up and live and work.
It's not a tricky process. It's like it was before. You just apply for a visa and invariably you get one. This idea that kids are now prisoners in the UK because of Brexit is a joke. But you're saying this is about democracy. This is not. This is gerrymandering. This is actually barefaced ballot box stuffing. That's what they're doing. They know that the people that voted them in are never going to vote for them again. So they're trying to find a whole new tranche of people who will.
One of my issues with this is we are at dangerous risk of losing childhood in this country and all across the world, actually. Viewing 16-year-olds as adults. And I liked that line in the sand, because I think voting is an important part. Obviously, it's fundamental democracy. And therefore, I worry that if we start to view 16 and 17-year-olds as adults, what else will we therefore move towards permitting?
But we already do. They can work, they can marry, they can do grown-up things already. Why not give them a vote as well? Carol, I'll come back to you on that.
Well, actually, let me just take you...
Can I just ask you a quick question?
You can ask me in a second.
Go on.
But you said they can do everything. I'm afraid 16-year-olds are given special treatment in terms of if they commit a crime, they don't go to jail at 16, they don't go to jail until they're 18. So if that's the case, maybe if they get the vote, maybe the other things should be moved for them too.
Well, you're right, yeah. There are some things you can't do until 18, like drinking and smoking and all the rest of it. You have both said in this discussion that young people are going to vote for reform and that this is gerrymandering on the part of the Labour Party.
So?
Which one is it? It can't be both.
Sorry, it's trying to set up the election in favour of themselves.
Well, if you think everyone's going to vote reform who's 16,
well,
then surely that's
what Carol's saying is I think Labour are misguided. Labour probably think that youths will vote for them.
Well, Labour see the same polls that we do. Why are they misguided?
They don't quite get the pulse of the nation. I think there's an air of arrogance with Keir Starmer on many fronts, but I think they just by default reckon that 16-year-olds will vote for Labour because that's how it's always been. I don't think they quite... You can see it with the social media followings of Reform UK, Nigel Farage. He completely dwarfs all the parties combined, and I don't don't think Labour and the Tories quite understand this new social media generation.
And just a scientific fact, science tells us that the frontal cortex of the brain, which is about, making decisions and assessing things, is not fully developed till you're 25. So we're asking kids, basically kids, to decide, and you're saying all of these kids are going to be working. Most 16-year-olds aren't. They're in education or they're at university, and so they're not paying taxes, but they're getting a say in who runs the country.
In their own future, in the decisions that are going to come to
and
pass
you think
in
at
10,
16,
20 years' time.
When you were 16, Seb, did you understand politics? Were you thinking seriously
Tell you when I
about
understood
the future?
politics, when I was 18. Do you know why? Because I got
Well,
the
there you
vote.
go.
And then I took an interest, and that's how I'm here today. It's that catalyst. It was getting the vote that got me interested in politics. If we can get people to vote at 16, we can get a much more politically engaged country, making much more sense.
I would say that what happened to you was unusual. I would think the majority of 16-year-olds, well, there's a poll out today, half of them don't want to vote. They say they just...
Half of them do. Should we deny them that right?
Yes. Because they're not ready for it. It's not a right.
I think that's extremely
it's not a
patronising
right.
to young
It's
people.
not at all.
Young
It's a
people have had this
huge
for years and
responsibility.
years.
It's a huge responsibility.
Okay.
And it's one that I trust them to
All
hold.
Right, Carolyn, Sebastian Selleck, thank you so much.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you. For the Britain you love. For the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel,